Some people in the market believe that your valuation is too high. Do you have anything to say to them?
So when investors were looking at this business, so they looked at, okay, what is the EBITDA that this company is generating? Because in the short to medium term, they found that to be a better metric. See, for us, the journey has just started. This IPO is not an exit for anybody.
I want to know more about the Lenskart story. Where did you guys start? How did you end up becoming so large? What are those inflection points?
There was a statement in a newspaper which said India is the blind capital of the world and 40% of visually impaired live in India. That was the trigger point.
Hey, do you think the Shark Tank stint that you had measurably impacted the IPO in some way?
I won't say that it has impacted the IPO. It definitely impacts the conversation and the excitement around Peyush and Lenskart. In the longer term, I would say that people at least understand who's behind Lenskart.
How have you dealt with success? And then how have you dealt with the inverse? How have you dealt with all the criticism? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am with the man of the moment. Peyush, I heard that your order book starts today. Why are you here?
Well, I'm here for the ET Startup Awards. And
I feel honored.
Sorry about that, but I had won the award last year, and this time, ET had requested that I should do a fireside chat before the award. There is one chat that happens every year, and so I'm here to pay my respect.
Lovely, lovely. How does it feel, man, to have an IPO going today? Like butterflies in your stomach. Like what does it feel like?
Actually, to be honest, it hasn't sunk in yet to me, because we met someone on the flight and they said, "Oh, congratulations on the IPO, big day." I got up in the morning, said bye to my son, went to the airport, and then we were discussing about work and what we need to do next. Next, and then suddenly this IPO thing came, and then I got into your office, and then again people are talking about it. It hasn't yet sunk into me.
It feels like the world is talking about it, but for you, it's like you're in the center of the.
Like it really feels like I should be somewhere else right now and not here or doing ET Startup Award because this IPO is open.
Yeah. No, you're. I would say I would argue that you're in the right place. But hey, so I have infinite questions for you. But I want to start. I want to get one question out of the way, right? Which is, I think, the question of the hour, which is social media is full with it, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to proceed with the pod without first asking you that question, which is, I feel like some people in the market, not everybody, and I'm trying to be respectful to both sides, but some people in the market believe that your valuation is too high, right? Or that it's been priced out of their range or their comfort range, right? Do you have anything to say to them?
Yeah, I think, firstly, I want to just say that I have been doing this for 15 years. And I've been on the other side also in terms of investing. And I deeply care about creating value for both customers as well as shareholders. And for all our existing shareholders, I have been creating a lot of value and will continue to do that even for public shareholders. We are bringing this IPO in the market to create value for our retail shareholders, for our customers who will now become shareholders. As far as the question on valuation is concerned, I think if you look at Lenskart, it is, when we decided to go public, we were very clear that we will go public when the company starts generating profitability, both at EBITDA and PBT level. And so we are unique in that sense, because if you look at most of the consumer tech companies, when they had hit the market, they were still making losses. And then if you look at Lenskart, where it is in its growth right now, it is a very high growth company. You just saw Q1 results come out. EBITDA has grown 80% plus. Revenue has grown over 24.5% plus. So we are still, very early stage into a market which is very large. We are growing very rapidly there. We have a right to win. We have even if you look at smart glasses as a space, where Lenskart is tied up with Qualcomm and we are going to launch products. We have a unique vertically integrated model which has been built over the last 10 years, which allows us to scale across India and now internationally. So when investors were looking at this business, the way they looked at this business is, of course, everybody looks at market, what are the comparables. So they looked at, okay, what is the EBITDA that this company is generating? Because in the short to medium term, they found that to be a better metric. And when you look at the valuation, EV, enterprise value to EBITDA, we actually decided on our side to keep it. It is actually one of the lowest EV EBITDA for a consumer tech company, all consumer tech companies that are listed. So, so I think it is the way you do the math. And when one does that math, you will realize that companies comparables, although Lenskart is unique in that sense of what we are doing from manufacturing to retail, or what we are doing in smart glasses, or the international part. But even then, I would say that we have tried to price it in a way, the investors have tried to price it in a way that it is very attractive. Because, see, for us, the journey has just started. This IPO is not an exit for anybody. You seeing the anchor book today, almost 10% of the anchor book is our existing investors. And we have, as a company, done more secondaries than primary. So Lenskart, in fact, when we were deciding to go public, most of the people were not willing to let go of their shareholding. So investors have priced it in a way where everybody can make a lot of money. And I think it's just about how you look at it. The growth ahead of Lenskart, the enterprise value to EBITDA multiple, if you do. Just look at the anchor book, right? I mean, you have pretty much everybody, who you may want to be on the Lenskart cap table, whether it is the Indian mutual funds or whether it is the FIIs. Tiro has come, Wellington has come, Indian all top funds have come in. And they've done a lot of work in terms of what is the potential of Lenskart and what are other consumer tech trading at. So I would say, and we as a company have just started compounding EBITDA. And in consumer tech, when you start compounding EBITDA, so I would say this is a great time for investors to come on board.
And talking about that, talking about the anchor book, if you look at social media right now, there is a cook who has now decided to, participate in the conversation. There is a sports person who's decided to participate in the conversation. I feel for the first time, I've been in startups for more than a decade, right? And you've been there even longer. But now there's just so much interest in it that, everybody wants to come online. Maybe they may buy into the IPO, they might not buy, but there is still debate and conversation going on about it. Do you feel in some way that you and a bunch of your peers in the startup ecosystem of that generation have ushered in like so many people in India now becoming aware of startup IPOs and getting involved?
Yeah, I think it is interesting and it is exciting also in many ways. Firstly, I think Lenskart is a mass consumer brand, right? It's widely popular. People see the brand physically. A lot of the people are consumers of Lenskart. And I think so when Lenskart would go public, I think it is natural for people to have that interest and do their analysis and math and have that debate. And I think I respect a lot of it. And I think it is interesting for people. And if you look at, usually you would see something like that happening in only certain parts of India. Where if you go to Gujarat, I mean, it's a very active investment market. So I think in some ways, because Lenskart is a popular, and me being on Shark Tank, adds to the equation as well. So I think it is healthy and exciting in many ways, if you ask me. And I think it is good for Indian market. More people are investing. Equities markets will benefit a lot. Charcha to ho hi rahi hai Lenskart ki, right? And I think it is good in many ways. It's a beginning. It's a beginning to a new era.
Nice. Hey, do you think the Shark Tank stint that you had, right? Do you think that has measurably impacted the IPO in some way, or just interest in Lenskart in some way?
I am not doing Shark Tank this season, and I did part of it only last season. So I won't say that it has impacted the IPO. It definitely impacts the conversation and the excitement around Peyush and Lenskart, I think. But in terms of, I think, in the in the longer term, I would say that people at least understand who's behind Lenskart. People understand why Lenskart exists. So I won't say it's impacted the IPO, but I would definitely say that people are a lot more familiar with what Lenskart is than they would be if I wasn't on Shark Tank.
Interesting. So would you recommend other, let's say, entrepreneurs who are in your stead who are not, on a Shark Tank yet, who might IPO 2-3 years later? Do you think
I don't think it is an IPO thing.
Okay.
Right? I think one should be on Shark Tank if you like to learn from entrepreneurs. You feel excited about spending time with them. You like to be part of their journey. I think that has to be the excitement. Otherwise, it will be very boring. I think I went to Shark Tank primarily because it really keeps you young and energetic and curious all the time. And that has been my high with Shark Tank. It's not a marketing show. It shouldn't be a marketing show.
Interesting. Hey, I want to go all the way back now, right? For people who are unfamiliar, I know bits and pieces of like India runs very low context. we look at a person online and we judge immediately, right? Like, we're like, okay, ऐसा दिख रहा है. These are the 3 sentences this person said. This is what I believe about the person. But I feel me sitting here now, I want to know more about the Lenskart story. Where did you guys start? How did you end up becoming so large? What are those inflection points? Was it specific fundraisers? Was it just disposable income? Like how did you really reach this scale?
Yeah, so Lenskart essentially started as a mission, right? It didn't start as a business. It started as a mission to solve one of the unsolved problems in the world using technology. Because my background is I used to be at Microsoft, and I was very inspired with Bill Gates, who had first put a PC in every home, and then started the journey to eradicate malaria. And I met Bill very early in Microsoft journey, where he had kept a dinner at his house, and that was very inspiring. And for me, I had no plans to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't like, okay, मुझे तो business करना ही है और या पैसे कमाने हैं. That wasn't the intention. But that just whole thing of what am I doing with my life? Can I do something transformative? That was the genesis of my entrepreneurial journey. And then Amit, my co-founder, came along, and other people came along. But the idea was really, it was a mission. Like, can we do something when the world will not be the same? I remember 2000, maybe 10, 11, we used to put slides of things like, I remember in some of the keynotes, maybe 2014, we used to put a slide of Google Map and say, what would the world be? I think just around the time Google Map came, I don't remember the exact year, if we didn't have maps. And think about it, what would the world be? And we said, we've got to create something like that. And that was the core motivation to do anything. So that's how Lenskart started. It started as a mission. It didn't start with funding. We had no idea, clueless guys, what funding is about. And the first round of funding actually happened accidentally. We had never approached a VC. We would be totally closed door. We had started working on this problem where there was a statement in a newspaper which said India is the blind capital of the world and 40% of visually impaired live in India. That was the trigger point for Lenskart to start. And we said, okay, this is a problem, and can we really transform the way people see? And we were doing this into 1.5 year, and then IDG Ventures, which is now called Chirate, TCM, came to our office. We didn't even have, we didn't even reach out to anybody, nor did we go to an investor office. They dropped into our office saying, we feel like we like what you guys are doing. And we didn't even know what we were doing in many ways in terms of size. And would you take capital to do this? And they asked us how much capital you need. And firstly, we didn't know. And then they said, okay, why don't you come to Bangalore? We came to Bangalore. Then in a room next to IDG's conference room, we put together some plan, 1-page plan, which came to 2 crores. And IDG said, no, I think you need $4 million to do this. And we will take 40% of the company. And from where we were sitting, we were like, okay, this could be a game changer in terms of the mission we want to achieve. So we did that deal in literally 2 days. We did that deal. And that's how the journey started for us. And I would say, if I look back today, I never thought that we would have the opportunity. And we are very early in our journey still, because the idea eradicating malaria, PC in every home, we serve what? 30 million people, 20 to 30 million people, when a billion people in India need eyewear, vision correction. So that's how it started. And we are nowhere close to eradicating visual impairment in India. So we are still very early, but we are still quite mission driven, I would say.
Nice. What have been certain things that have changed with scale? Like, let's say now you've gotten large, your team has gotten larger. I'm sure your core team is also now pretty tight. They're very excited about the IPO. How is it different today versus in the early days when you were running that startup?
See, early days, it was just about tech, right? And not that it is not about tech today, but it was just a very lean team. We were building software for supply chain, because Lenskart operates a very centralized, we pretty much like run like an Amazon type supply chain for eyewear, just that it has manufacturing. And then we were largely a bunch of people just coding and figuring out how to solve these problems.
And today that app has 100 million downloads, right?
Yes. And so that was the genesis. Today, as we think about it, I think the organization has become larger. So it's a lot of it is about building the organization, the culture in the organization. We're also global. So we have 25 nationalities working at Lenskart. 40% of revenue comes from outside India now. So I think as we think about it, I think we were very clear that हमको इंडिया से Amazon जैसा कंपनी बनाना है. I'll be very honest. We kind of feel that why not? Why are we not able to create global consumer brands? And why are we not able to create companies which can scale to that level? And when we deeply studied it, we realized that a lot of it is about talent and culture and how you invest in that for the future. And I worked in Microsoft, so I understand that. So how you are bringing in the talent, the way you take decisions, the way you plan it. Lenskart, we write a 3-year vision document, and it's a practice that Amazon follows for years. And then we write an operating plan for year 1, year 2. And then there are bets taken, bets like, okay, like think about a bet like international, and think about a bet like, okay, we will, in COVID, we put this manufacturing facility, or a bet on smart glasses, which we are saying that we will do full stack ourselves, including firmware, hardware, software in India. So I think it's about creating that thought process, the consumer obsession. So a lot of, I think the way the company has changed, it has become now about talent and technology. That is everything. It is the intangibles that matter. And that's what takes these companies that we see today, which are creating the kind of impact. And I really, really am admired by what some of the global tech companies do. That's what makes the difference. And I think that has changed at Lenskart now. A lot of time is spent on how you run a meeting. How are you planning? How a person sitting in Singapore will take decisions every day without having to come to head office? What are the investments in data? What are the investments, big bets that we are going to take for 3 years from now and 5 years from now?
Two conversations I've had in the last 30 days that are very, sort of relevant to this one is I spoke to Cristiano Amon from Qualcomm, and he has been very, very bullish about smart glasses, right? He believes smart glasses are the future mobile phones. The second conversation is funny. It was Mark Zuckerberg, right? He did the demo, and then we got to, a bunch of us got to speak to him behind the scenes. And, I asked him a question of, firstly, I love the fact that he did the live demo. And it's so strange that he told me, I'm very happy we got 3 out of 5 things right, because they a couple of things on stage they didn't get right. And in India, people have been like,
just 3.
Yeah, stock would have dropped. Why only 3 out of 5? But the thing that he's very bullish about and willing to bet the company on is that this is the future form factor, right? Like having glasses, having an HUD, or just having it speak back to you, doing all the things that you say that potentially the glasses will do, which is we'll be able to pay via UPI, via glasses. I do potentially think that has a very good shot of being the future of computing, which means that story that you said of, a computer in every home that Bill Gates once gave, had the vision of, it's actually very much possible for you.
Yeah.
Right? You could have a computer sitting on everybody's face in India at home. You're very close there. You have any thoughts on how that's going to play out?
Yeah, so I think 2 things are very exciting. I think Lenskart's strategy statement 10 years back was that we'll be the most tech-invested eyewear company in the world, right? And with AI coming in the picture, it's almost like putting like boosters with us. Like we've suddenly got wings, and so much is happening so fast now. And so it's very exciting. Second, I think all of a sudden now eyewear has become a form factor, and it is looking like more and more is becoming a form factor which will play a role more than just giving you visual correction. And it's happening right now, right? And then we can see it. We launched these glasses with Bluetooth, phonic, and they've been a bumper success for us. And now we have just tied up with Qualcomm, where we are, and I'm actually wearing our smart glasses right now. These are in partnership with Qualcomm. They have the AR1 chip, they have camera, and I think we are quite excited because we're taking
very light also.
Yeah, very light. They're lighter than the other. Yeah, you look good.
Wow.
Right? And here I think the time is quite exciting, and the way at least I believe is it's going to evolve. The key will be, and I totally agree that it'll be there is a lot of possibilities here. The key will be the speed of iteration. Right? How quickly are you learning from the consumer? I don't think it is a model where you would say, okay, I've launched the perfect eyewear and now it's done. Because this is very sensitive area of the body where this sits on, the weight. And we have to realize smart glasses are glasses first. And at Lenskart, we have 3 capabilities. One is technology. Second is we manufacture eyewear, so we understand glasses. Third, we have distribution. So which is why we have taken a bolder bet saying, let's set up a team which is in India, where we will design the hardware, the firmware, and the software, all three. And instead of the content that is going to come, go into some other ecosystem, we will get the content. So when you take a video on these glasses or you take a photograph, and an example of that is UPI, right? So imagine if we were just importing this tech, how much time will it take for you to integrate into UPI? It will be the lowest order priority in the larger scheme of things. Whereas now the initiation has started, we're saying, okay, we are going to launch this in 40 languages. We are going to understand whether this can detect what are the calories in a poha and a palak chaat, which maybe it is important for the Indian consumer. And then can we do UPI? So we just launched UPI. We worked with the UPI team. You can look at something and say pay 5,000 rupees, no pin needed, you can pay. So I think the way I am looking at it is speed will be of essence, agility will be of essence. So if you can get consumer understanding, which is what we have always done. We've always been direct to consumer, manufacturing to consumer, and you keep running iterations, both software updates and hardware updates faster, you will be able to understand. And the way I am looking at this market is there's going to be a lot of use case in B2B. There's going to be a lot of specific use cases for lifestyle running. There's going to be a use case where if you're visually impaired, you could actually, use this to navigate. You will use this for your calorie tracking. You will use this for. So I think there will be different use cases. And you have to be agile enough to take those glasses, and affordability will also be key.
Will you eventually put a heads-up display on it?
Yes, we're already working on it. This version is going to be out soon, and that one, see, because in all of this you also need to manage Indian ecosystem, Indian cost structure, right? And that is going to be key for adoption. So how many people can buy 40,000 rupees smart glasses and 56,000 rupees glasses? So so I think it's important, but we are putting heads-up display on it.
But over time it'll get cheaper, I assume, for these parts, right?
Yeah.
And that's the play.
And in India now, manufacturing is as evolved as it can get with iPhones coming in India. So we are getting there, and we just need to leverage it.
Then I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're saying that potentially the phone opportunity that Micromax and Lava had for a while, a bunch of other small, phone companies had for a while and then lost to the bigger giants out there. As long as you can keep the glasses affordable versus the, the large companies who will end up making glasses like the Ray-Bans and, a bunch of other companies that are working with software companies, you potentially have a phone-sized opportunity in India, right? To come out and say, hey, instead of using a phone or paired with your phone, you now have these glasses that you're able to do N number of things with, which I think is pretty exciting and actually, from my view, expands the market a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think we are considering the era we are in, we are doing this a little differently. Firstly, we are developing, like in the Microsoft Lava era, a lot of this was imported. And the hardware and the chip design and the software. Here, right, we are doing full stack. Second, if you look at core in this is not just the hardware, it is the data. So when you take a video on this, where is that going to sync to? Where is the content coming? So content is a very large play here.
So this will all go to the Lenskart app?
Yes.
And I assume the Lenskart app also has the store where you can buy new stuff. So everything is like in one place.
And so the idea is all about context, right? How much do you understand your consumers? So which is why I'm saying the play is now, in the era that we are in, possibilities are more than what we imagine. I mean, if I understand your consumer behavior, I understand, like one of the things that we are doing in our smart glasses is we are integrating your blood reports into this. So now if I know what your H1B is, when you look at a food, I can tell you whether this is good or not.
Yeah.
Right? So the platform is going to be a lot more integrated.
And you don't need to build the AI models here because you will use third-party intelligence.
So I see an integrated world. I actually see that when laptops came, phone became an extension.
Correct.
We still do certain stuff on the laptop. We do a lot more on the phone. As glasses develop, it is, there are things that will move from the phone to glasses. And the laptop, the phone, the glasses all have to be tied into a common ecosystem, including any health device that you see. But I do see a lot of health monitoring, whether you're wearing a Whoop right now or anything, a lot of that would move here. So it depends on, see, at the end of the day, it's a game of convenience. Why we integrated UPI into this is because you take a phone, you open it, you unlock it, you scan the QR code, then you press the pin, versus saying scan and pay 500 rupees. It's done. No pin required. So I think it is that element of reducing the number of clicks and convenience. If I have used health nutritionists in the past. They tell you track your food that you eat throughout the day and send me a picture. I have never done it.
Yeah.
But if now I have to do it, it will happen. Right? Same way in an e-commerce delivery, somebody, and I see in urban companies, somebody's coming and they take a photo of everything, or on a delivery, those activities are very tricky. Those all will move to the glasses, I feel.
You know why I'm a little more bullish? I'm a little more bullish than some of the other tech, companies that have gone IPO in India, because I feel that you guys have the free cash flow to do a lot of this.
Yes.
I think the profitability is necessary first to do this, because if you look at Meta or any of the other companies that are attempting this, they were first profitable. They had, and you don't need too much.
Yeah.
You just need enough to not have to worry about the building falling on the core business, right? If you have enough of that profitability, you can keep trying some of these experiments. Some will work, some won't work, but you have that freedom to do that. How did profitability feel for you? When you get there first? Did you know you were going to get there, and how did it feel?
So it was a long journey initially. I think one thing we were very clear from the beginning, that Lenskart has to be a very sustainable company. And this is not a company for decade. This is a company for many decades. We are building an institution here. If you want to build an Amazon for eyewear, that was very clear. So from a very beginning, unit economics was sacrosanct at Lenskart. We have always been operating in a way where we create profitability for every unit sold. And then we also were very clear that there are few areas we will not cut our investments on. Largely that was technology, talent, and data investment, right? So now it is a question of economies of scale, right? As you start hitting scale, if you have good unit economics, a large part of your unit sales start flowing into EBITDA. So for us, the journey of profitability, while it was longer initially, as we started crossing a certain scale, we just kept getting more and more surprised. In the sense, because imagine if you're making good margins, your fixed cost, your technology cost, your people cost, they grow only at a certain rate. But as your volume starts growing, a large part of that started. So for us, when we first got it, it was definitely like, okay, finally, right, it's coming in.
Which year was this?
I think it was FY23. We started becoming profitable, and we knew we would get there, but it did take long. But the beauty is, when it started getting there, we were, every time we would say, okay, we will be profitable by this much, we were beaten by our own estimates. And then we started understanding, because we are also doing it for the first time, we started understanding what is happening. We realized that a significant part of your unit economics starts flowing into EBITDA. And then we started doing that math and understanding. So I think the compounding power is very large. So I would say that the core for us, and now as we started generating profits, we went into international. And the point you made about that, good part is when you create profits, you can take bolder bets. So when we went into international, we didn't go as a trial. We knew that the problem is large. You're getting glasses for few $100s, $300-400. Myopia rate in Southeast Asia is 80% plus. There is no opportunity. So if you are creating value of that level and the customer obsession is there, you will win. So, and then you can stay put, because you don't have to shut things and suddenly, because your core businesses have. And it played out really that way. And in smart glasses, exactly the same thing we are doing. We are not, this bet of doing firmware in India is an uncommon bet. Most of the industry, even today, it is imported. We don't design the firmware, we don't write the software. Maybe we write the software, but we don't design the hardware chip. We don't design the firmware. So it's a bolder bet. But you're right, because you have free cash flow, you can begin to take these. So in that ways, we are privileged in that sense.
Deepinder once said that, post the IPO, there were a lot of people in the team that ended up slacking a little bit, right? Especially leaders who've ended up making some money. Do you foresee something like that happening to Lenskart? And do you think you'll have to come in and do a cleanup? Like, how do you incentivize leadership post the magic land of heavy IPO'd?
To be honest, at Lenskart, our stock has been, while even private, it has been a pretty liquid stock. We as a company have done more secondaries than primary. We have done over $1.3 billion of secondary.
$1.3 billion
of secondary, and about $700 million of primary, of which $200 million is still on the balance sheet. we have always, our employees have always been able to sell their stock at any point. So it's not like this IPO is an exit event for employees. If you had certain ESOPs vested, you could have sold any of that last year, and company was willing to buy back, and you had an option to sell those stocks. So this is not in any sense an exit event for employees. So I don't think, and which is why probably for us, for everybody right now, it is like, okay, this is just a stepping stone to create something larger. The second thing I would say at Lenskart, there are, like I said, we are a mission-driven business in many sense. Um, People who work at Lenskart usually work for two missions, right? One is they're very, uh, they're, it's very personal to them. You know, this creating vision for 1 billion people, right? This whole idea of saying, can we really give vision to 50% of India? Because the problem is large. We have almost going to have 1 billion people who need glasses, and we have only 300, 35% of them having glasses. And and when you get somebody a pair of glasses who doesn't have them before, you should see their life, right? And we meet customers today say, I cannot imagine my life without Lenskart. So they are very, this is personal to them. It's not about money right now. The second biggest reason people work at Lenskart, the second category, is they want to create a global brand out of India. I mean, there are all these people who are saying, okay, we love Nike, we love Adidas, we love Apple, but why? They want to create a global consumer story. So, so when I look at and talk to these people, why they work at Lenskart, the motivation is not about exit. I am quite sure. And of course, we are very performance oriented company. So from that perspective, people, they have to make sure that they're performing really well. And as a company, we evolve. Different people take different roles depending on the need of the company. But I'm quite sure that as a company, people work here for a goal and they see what we are building for the future. So I see it playing out differently, but I can be surprised, but I know my people well.
And you think they're in here for the long run?
Yes, because everybody, mm, our employees are, even they had the opportunity to liquidate their stock, they have not sold stock. Our employees have, want to buy stock, right? I've got more emails from people saying, including people in our stores, that they want to buy stock. And why is that? Is because they work on the ground.
Are there any counterintuitive things you've learnt about consumers? Like everyone has this viewpoint about consumers, right? This is how they buy, this is how customers buy, this is what they do. Everyone on Twitter, Reddit has the idea about what will people buy and what will people not buy. But in my experience of, when I started, running companies, I learned that consumers say one thing, do something else, right? And what are some behaviors you've seen where they say something but they do something
So this is
else?
my favorite subject because I don't do anything at Lenskart but just this. Right? Rest everything I give the credit to my team with all the tech and operations and everything. Consumer and people are the two areas. But yeah, I think I have very, very, uh, great learnings on this. One thing I can tell you is that what is good today is not going to be good tomorrow. A lot of people say you have found the mousetrap, now this is the model that will work, and you have a great product today, and that is now everything is hunky dory, and it is not like that. Everybody, my biggest learning is that everybody wants to improve their quality of life. That's the biggest fundamental truth. Everybody at all levels, irrespective of your income level, every moment that passes by. Look at shoes today. Earlier we had one or two pairs of shoes. Now we want a running shoe. Then you want a fast running shoe, you want a slow running shoe, right? It can't get, earlier you had a smartwatch, now you have a band. So people want to continue to improve their quality. So if you feel that you have arrived in life at any point in time, you are mistaken. If I believe that this smart glasses is the thing, it is not the thing. Or even a pair of regular glasses, you have to continuously innovate, and the bar has to keep raising every day, because good is not good enough. And what is good today becomes the bare expectation. And consumers don't care about anything, what you do, whether you make it in a factory, how tech enabled. लोगों को नहीं फर्क पड़ता you are a tech enabled company or you're not a tech enabled company. They care about, I walk out of Lenskart with a pair of glasses in a spectacle case. How long will that last? What is the quality? Was I surprised? Okay, I went to the store, it felt good, right? I love how the packaging is done. Okay, when I want my service, is my service available? Tech is a means to deliver that outcome, but they care about that. The second learning I would say is that aspiration is there in every consumer. So if you think that if just because I am paying 2,000 rupees and somebody is paying 20,000 rupees, and you think for the 2,000 rupees customer I can give lesser, or I don't need to care about so much, or I need to, they I can only give 5 choices and there I will give 50 choices, or I can compromise on the quality even slightly. You are mistaken. It is actually inversely proportional. For the person spending 2,000 rupees, their 2,000 rupees matter to them more than the person spending 20. So you have to deliver your utmost quality. And if you and that is, often people understand it the other way. Like आप VIP customer है, आप आइए, आपके तो coffee मिल. You have to treat that customer. That customer is treated as VIP always. But this customer, if you can treat like VIP, they'll be your customers for life, right? The third thing I would say, particularly about eyewear, and maybe it's a hidden secret, but people don't eyewear to get vision correction. People wear eyewear to look good.
It's fashion.
Yeah, I mean that is the ultimate goal. Ultimate. They'll never say it. Maybe I won't say they're the ultimate goal, but they'll never say it. But subconsciously, that is their deciding factor, right? And so if you can give them opportunities to look great, they'll continue to buy more eyewear. So जूते हम नहीं पहनते हैं. We don't wear shoes to protect our feet from the ground. We wear shoes to look good. So that is the hidden secret in a lot of things we do at Lenskart.
So it's all like subtle status signaling.
Yeah,
and
consumers are very smart. Yeah, they are very smart. They notice the smallest things. They'll notice the attitude of this. At Lenskart stores, we don't give incentive on the ticket size. You only get incentives for creating happy customers, whether you sold them 20,000 or 2,000. And customers notice that. They say, okay, otherwise उनको लगेगा कि यार मैं आता हूँ तो ऐसे ही ट्रीट करते हैं, और मेरे को उसको लगता है कि मैं आज जिस दिन मेरे को 2,000 का खरीदना है तो ऐसे ट्रीट करते हैं, जिसको 20,000 का ऐसे ट्रीट करते हैं. So customers are very sharp. If you do things a certain way, and they want surprise. Good customers is, satisfied customers is a history. There's no such thing as a satisfied. You want enthusiastic customers. If I cannot become part of a dinner conversation today, you are a story of short term. If you are doing something which you will become part of the dinner conversation, that is what will create word of mouth. That is what will bring business. So, often we are chasing the short term. You're not chasing the long term. And short term is always easy. मैं थोड़ा advertise कर दूंगा, कोई आ जाएगा, आज खरीद लेगा. But long term game is very different. You create enthusiastic customer, they will bring you more customers.
I have one last question, okay? And this is more about Peyush, the person. I want to know how have you dealt with success? That's first part of my question. And then how have you dealt with the inverse? How have you dealt with all the criticism? Shark Tank. I'm sure everyone's talking about you on Twitter all the time or Instagram all the time. How are you dealing with all of this? Do you let it enter your brain?
I never really feel that I've arrived in life, right? I just feel that the biggest thing that is the most important thing is to stay curious. Even when we hire people at Lenskart, my biggest thing is you should be willing to learn. You should be able to unlearn everything and learn everything again. So even when I go to Shark Tank, very few people know that I am not there to give gyan. I'm there to learn. I'm there to see what people are able to do. I'm going there for my interest, as much, of course, I can benefit. So for me, um, and then there is, I totally believe in destiny. I think uh, uh, a lot of these things they are meant to be, and they happen the way they are. I mean, uh, why I was born where I was born, why am I doing, So beyond that point, I think there is an element of luck, there's an element of chance, there's an element of destiny that plays into it. So for me, while I'm doing everything, I like not to take credit for it. At least that's how I like to psych myself about it. I remember one thing which I've always been inspired by, and I've shared before. There was a movie I was watching between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. And Steve was telling Bill it was the launch of iMac that Apple is better. And Bill Gates said, and by that, Microsoft was on all IBM computers. It was like the PC in every home was already happening. And the Bill kept telling Steve on the stage, it doesn't matter, right? So I would say it is, I'm not, not in the wrong sense that it doesn't matter, but I would say the way you have to deal with it is you have to know how will you be, what your report card is not going to be Twitter. A report card is going to be what you generate in the end and how authentically you are doing it, how passionately you are doing it, how empathetically you are doing it. And yeah, that's what matters in the end. And that's what you should drive. If we are a mission driven company, then our joy comes from giving one extra pair to somebody whose life changes with it. That the day that doesn't happen, then I think I'll be disturbed. And every time that doesn't happen or I meet an unhappy customer, then I'm disturbed and that would bother me and then I would get on the job again.
Interesting. I think this has been a phenomenal conversation. I really like the way you think about the world. I think it's very different from a lot of people I've spoken to. And I think generally sometimes what happens is, especially entrepreneurs during IPO season, they go from optimism to like, it's just this weird stress that you can see on their faces, right? But you're optimistic, you're smiling. I really believe you have a phone-sized opportunity in India. I think we never managed to get phones to India never managed to manufacture phones and win that market. We gave it all to everybody else. We have a new form factor arriving. I've tried, some of those smart glasses abroad, and especially the ones with the HUDs, and my opinion is they have a good shot of being the future. And you are right at that opportunity, square at that opportunity with enough capital to go do it. So I hope you do it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Bharat.